Welcome to Hate to Wait, where two lifelong dieters talk about their current struggles with weight loss. Diets, we've tried them all. We're not doctors, we don't play them on TV or on this podcast. Join our journey because misery loves company.
Happy Independence Day.
Yes, it's over. You know, I was really worried. I almost wanted to message you yesterday and be like, John, how you doing?
We'll get into that. Well, you know, there's a holiday in the middle of the week. Actually, I did real well during the holiday. That's not true. Actually,
I thought you paused for a second. I thought your video froze.
No. I almost told a lie. Yeah, so how was your week?
All right, so I finished my book.
That's
yeah.
kudos to that.
Oh gosh, I'm so happy about that. I got on the scale for some weird reason. I got on the scale after I had stayed up all night and like my cortisol levels were probably through the roof, and I don't know, all those hormones and stress things just adding the weight on. Oh, I was up. I did not like the number on the scale, and I was so worried. And it made me feel bad. Like I had just finished a book. I had just written a book and gave it to a publisher to publish, and I felt like crap because of that number on the scale.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, it was so weird. And it took like a day. Well, I was also still on the adrenaline high of getting over the book. So I was kind of thinking of both things. I kind of had the dual of like, all right, well, this is done. This is awesome. And then I got on the scale and it was just, I also felt crappy about myself. Like I didn't want to get dressed. Everything I was putting on just felt fat, and it's also humid here. So everything feels nasty and gross. So it was weird. And then I'll get into this in a little bit, but I shifted my mindset. Like Tuesday, I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I'm basing all of this stuff on a stupid number on the scale. Who knows what's going on with my body and my hormones? And I had to do some research of just like mindset. Like, let me get into the mindset, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But John, how was your week?
Well, basically it was a nightmare. All right. So same thing. I learned a lot of stuff. What I'm here to say is, hi, my name is John, and I'm an emotional eater and a binge eater. And until I wrap my head around that, until I realize that that is my problem, that is my whole issue, until I can figure out how to fix that, no matter what I do, this will never work. And let me just tell you a story about what happened. So I've learned a few things this week. The first thing I've learned is that I cannot get over hungry. All right, I cannot do that because what happens is I have a food addiction. I've never smoked cigarettes. I've never had an addiction to alcohol or drugs or anything like that. But I can just imagine, like if when you stop smoking, that feeling in your chest, that nervousness in your chest, what it's like. And that's what it's like when I get over hungry. And I try to fight off waiting till that next window opens. And it doesn't work for me because what happens is after a certain while, the addiction grabs me, throws me outside, and then starts driving the bus. Now, I know that sounds so stupid to people that don't have this, but for me, it's reality. And I had that happen Monday night because I did really, really good from the last Monday all the way up until Monday night. And it was just getting worse and worse. And it was like all this pressure building up. And then I decided, listen, you need to get out and get a diversion. So I love to play poker. And around here, there's a bar that has like a free poker league. So you go in there, you play poker. There's no money involved in it or anything like that, but it's fun to just go out and do it. So I go there. They have food. I get a cheesesteak. I tell them, please, no roll, no potato chips, nothing. The guy put a couple pickles on there, extra pickles for me. I'm doing well. I'm doing great. There's no air. The air conditioner broke. So now it's hot in there. So we're playing. And I just wanted to do well. We get one before the final table. And I make a stupid move, and it didn't work, and I get knocked out. Now I'm hungry, I'm aggravated, and I'm hot. And that was a disaster.
That's not a good combination at all.
So now I'm weak. I'm worthless and weak. And the addiction says, guess what? I got him now. He's down for the count. So what? I'm driving home, and this is the weirdest part. I tried to go to my house 3 different times. I tried to drive to my house, stop my truck, and get out and get into the house so I wouldn't do anything stupid. But that didn't happen. I drove around. I was really, really hungry. I wanted to do something. I'm like, then I started trying to, again, you're negotiating. Your addiction is negotiating with you. And this at the time sounded really, really smart because this is what my addiction said. You know, Taco Bell has those chicken tacos that are chicken shells. So there's no carbs in that. We should go there and get a couple of those. That'll be okay. Because that sucker wanted me to go to Taco Bell. Because it knew that once I was in the drive-through line, that it was over. And that's what happened. Now, I binged. It was a flat out 100% binge. And here's the most horrible part of the whole thing. Afterwards, I felt fantastic.
Right. I know.
I felt fantastic.
I know. And then you try to negotiate in your head of just like, all right, maybe I can just keep sort of binging and maintain this and I'll still be fine. It's like what I've heard heroin junkies say is like, I just need a little bit just to get by day to day, you know?
So I can get out of this. And so what I should have done, I should have came home because I had stuff here, but I didn't want to come home. I wanted that. I couldn't stand that whole feeling of loser, hungry, sweaty. And I knew one thing that was going to stop that. And it did. And so the next day I wake up and I'm like, ugh. And I actually did come in and say, oh, I binged last night. And the group is fantastic. They made me feel not as bad about myself as normal. But it's just one of those things where if anybody else is in the group or listening to this and you want to reach out and tell me your story, because sometimes you feel like you're the only one that goes through this.
Yeah, we have, we're doing the Facebook Live right now for the audio listeners, and we have Paul in the chat room, and he's saying the exact same thing. He knows it. It's all too familiar for him. He understands that addiction mindset, not necessarily about eating, but he understands it. So
yeah, and see, I was supposed to go, I guess it was about a year ago now. I was all ready to go for the gastric sleeve surgery. I went through all the tests. I was ready to go. All I had to do was stop, go on the liquid diet for 2 weeks. And I kept saying to them, when am I going to get, because they promised me that they would give me the therapy for this, because I didn't want to go through that and still be a binge eater and addicted to food. And they're like, well, we'll give you one. And then when you get the surgery, then you got to start going. I'm like, no. I'm not getting the surgery until I feel like I will no longer binge, or I have the tools that I will no longer binge. And they're like, well, you won't be hungry once you get this surgery. I said, there's a lot of times you binge when you're not even hungry.
yeah.
So then I pulled out. I pulled out of the whole thing. And maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. But that was my week.
Well, it's funny that you went into the mindset thing a little bit as well, because it is really about you fighting with yourself. It's so weird. And you know what? Maybe we should do what other people who have depression or anxiety do, and they've talked about this on the podcast, Is This Adulting? And they name it. So it's a more sort of tangible thing that you can fight with. So in that group, they named their depression Karen.
Oh.
And so they go in and they're just like, oh my God, Karen's being such a bitch today. She's saying this. And it's something about giving it a name rather than having it be this floating, I don't know, ethereal orb of annoyance.
So we're going to give my addiction an avatar and a name. Ooh,
yeah.
I got to think about that. That might not be a bad idea. So I came to a realization about this because I was really disgusted this week, to the point where I was like, got to go on this podcast again. And again, I say this every week. So there's one thing that I realize, especially about dieting, and I'm going to actually bring this into podcasting, is that in podcasting, I don't care if I fail, because I know that it just taught me something where I can use it and then be better at it. Okay, so like with us, right now we're doing Facebook Live, we're recording, you're recording your end, we're doing all these things. And, it could crash and burn or whatever, but we didn't get here just like this. There's horrible audio out there somewhere where we've tried this before, And we failed miserably at it.
Yeah.
But we kept going. All right. We didn't quit. We're like, okay, it was no big deal. Why? Because I know you and I love podcasting. We love the craft of podcasting, the art of podcasting, and we love doing this. So we just continue on. We keep pushing through the mistakes. We keep pushing through everything because at the end, this is what we love to do. Do we love the diet? No, we don't love the diet. We hate it. So if we fail, we're like, that's it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But so now what I have to do is I have to just realize that, you know what, dude? I don't care if you fail 100 times. We're going to keep doing this until you get it right.
Do you remember that statistic that 50% of podcasts just die after 7 episodes?
Yes.
Do you think that's a statistic for diets?
It might well be.
50% of diets fail after 7 weeks or something.
Yeah, because, podcasting's not easy. It's hard.
No.
There's a lot of hard work involved in podcasting. So they're like, yeah, I want to do a podcast. And then after 7 weeks, they're like, this sucks.
We are an explicit show. I love that you used the beep, though.
You're explicit. I am not.
I'm explicit. I'm the one who makes it explicit. That ready is for Emily.
Just want to let you know that I can work clean.
Yeah. And I was dealing with something very similar. And then I looked up the mindset thing. And when I was driving around on Tuesday and I was thinking about this and just how crappy I felt about myself, I was like, no, you know what? Like, I was already worried about coming on Thursday and having to talk about my weight and feeling guilty for gaining weight, that I wasn't crapping on my diet. I wasn't eating outside my window. I wasn't doing any of that, but I just had this weight that came on. And I was thinking about that and I'm like, wait a minute. No, I need to change this around. I need to look forward to Thursday, no matter what that number is. First of all, I love talking to John. John's like one of my favorite people to get on and talk with about anything. I love going live in the Facebook group and seeing the chat room this week, which is great. The chat room is awesome this week. I love editing the show after. I love getting that re-motivation when I'm editing and doing the show notes on Sunday night and then putting it out Monday. Like, I love that. I don't know why I'm somehow equating that number on the scale to making me dread Thursday morning and talking about it, even though when I get on, as soon as we start talking, I get in a great mood and I'm so happy. So I found an article, I'll link to it in the show notes, and it's 10 ways to shift your mindset for better weight loss. And it found a study that said thinking that you're overweight predicts future weight gain. And when I read that, I couldn't believe it, because in my head, if you think you're overweight, wouldn't you think you would want to change that enough? But as history would tell, that's not quite how I work. I think I'm overweight and I get sad and I eat more. So some of the tips they talk about for changing your mindset is to change your goals. Rather, losing weight could be a result, but it shouldn't be the goal. You should have a goal of feeling healthier. And that was really what I wanted to do. I wanted to feel healthier. I wanted to be able to bound up the steps like I've been doing. I wanted to be able to run around with my kids. I wanted to be able to get more sleep, get more water. And things like fitting into t-shirts that I haven't worn in 2 years. I mean, that's a big goal. I don't know why, and it's 3 pounds. It's like something like 3 pounds I was up Monday that just ruined the rest of my week. So one of the other things was identify your terrible thoughts. And that's kind of what we were talking about, about naming our hunger and addiction is sort of identifying them and actually pinpointing, hey, I felt really bad. This, we can name it Gertrude or something. Like, Gertrude really made me just feel awful about myself. Gertrude is a terrible person. I don't want Gertrude in my life anymore. And I hope that name doesn't stick, but that's just the name I went with.
Yeah, I think mine's going to be like, mine's not Brad or something like that. Mine's got to have it, mine might be Spike.
Spike. That's actually good because of insulin spike. And
ooh, see?
Yeah,
there we go.
Like that one. And then there's another one that's talk to yourself like you would a friend. Like, I was really beating myself up. And that's one of the things I have to remember, especially when I get into a negative mindset, is if I heard a friend talk to themselves the way I was talking to myself,
yes.
I'd be like, what are you doing? Why would you say that? You're a wonderful person. And I think we've talked about this in past episodes. It's just listening to how you're talking to yourself and how you're perceiving these things. And I've seen other pictures on Pinterest of people with scales, and they have a sign on it that said, "This number represents how much you weigh today. It does not represent how funny you are, how intelligent you are, what a good person you are." And I mean, that's just, I really need that reminder. I need that whenever I get on the scale, and I need that throughout the day too, because it's so weird how that number will affect the rest of my day. Now, right now, before we get to our weigh-in, my weigh-in was really good. And ever since getting on the scale this morning, I've been peppy. I've been up and around and feeling all light. And I'm like, God, what a change from Monday. What? It's just so bizarre to me to think about that.
Right. And see, today I got on a scale and I was like, and I had to go out and get coffee and go take a drive and sit and say, okay, what am I going to do today? How am I going to, what am I going to say today? And I had to sit out there and come to grips with all this. And so my day has not been so good. Same thing, two different things. Like I woke up this morning and I'm like, okay, because I was going to get on it yesterday and I did not. And I was really crude. Like Monday was a great day. Monday when I got up, I got on the scale. I was really, really happy. And then after that, after the binge and everything, I just refused to get on the scale. I knew it was going to be bad because first of all, when you go to Taco Bell, it's all salt and everything and you swell up like a tick. You retain water. So I knew that was going to be bad. Now, do I think that I gained when I get to the number? Is that all fat? No, it's water. And is it going to go away? Yes, it's going to go away. You still have to step on the scale. So yeah, you're right. It's that when you get on that scale, it tells you like you've been fighting this all week. You step on that scale and you want to see some progress. And the only progress in our minds is if that thing goes down.
I know.
And when it doesn't, it's like, God. So.
Oh, I know. Paul in the chat room says to name it after someone who has been a real dick to you in the past. So that's good to think about, because I can think of a few names that I could call my angry voice of fat shaming.
See, that would be a woman, and I don't want to give that addiction a woman's. It's got to be a male's. Yeah, I don't. Right. One name popped right into my mind immediately. But I can't.
We'll have to think about that, because that would be a fun thing.
Right. I can't call it Denise. It's a horrible name.
Calling her out.
Right. She doesn't listen.
Are you going to bleep that out? Because you sometimes do that.
She doesn't listen to this, and nobody. There's only like a handful of people that know who that is. So I never used the last name.
Yeah. So another thing I was looking up was the keto recipes, because
Ooh, I saw this.
Right. I know. I don't want to go keto, but the thing is, I know I do so much better with protein when I'm really trying to get protein in my diet and I fill up more on fat. The keto meals actually fill me up more, so it makes that window easier for me, because if I'm doing all carbs, 4 hours later, I'll be hungry again. So
well, here's the thing. Keto is not protein. It is more fat than. So I just want to tell you something here. If you do keto, and then you go back and eat. If you eat carbs with keto, you will gain weight.
I know.
Can't dabble. You're either on the boat or off the boat. Because if you put one foot on the dock and 1 foot on the boat, you will fall in.
Can't just dabble a little
No, you
bit?
cannot dabble. I mean, because it's a higher fat, lower protein. So basically the macro that you're going to be looking at you're going to look for carb. Your carb macro is going to be under 30 grams of carbs. Your protein is going to be like 60 or 70, and the rest is fat. So if you add carbs to all that, you will gain weight.
I don't like that, John.
I'm sorry. Well, here's what I don't want to do is I don't want you to give. I don't want you. I wish I could. Trust me. I don't want you to go in there. Oh my God! Look at these things. Are amazing. These recipes.
I know the recipes are really good. They look really good.
Oh. White lasagna stuffed peppers. See, now here's the thing. One of my favorite dishes is lasagna, but I can't eat lasagna because of the noodles. They have these white lasagna stuffed peppers. So all you do is you take stuffed peppers and that's the noodle. You put everything inside and the pepper is the shell.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The reason I loved this link is because everything is 5 ingredients or fewer, which for me, as somebody who hates cooking, I can't do the recipes that are 20 ingredients. And I have 3 things of cumin in my spice cabinet because I never remember if I have it. So I go out and buy it every time. And I have 3 things of it. I use it for maybe 1 recipe for chili, and it's a pinch. And I have 3 stupid things of it. So I need simple, easy to figure out recipes that I could go to the store, and I would have no problem going to the store for just 1 or 2 things. That's fine with me. So I showed this to my husband, and I'm like, pick what you want because we're eating some of this.
Okay. So you could do, like, they have a low-carb steakhouse burger, Dave Jackson. And basically what this is a burger with sauteed fried onions, most likely in butter, over a tomato and a slice of red onion, like on a piece of lettuce. That would work.
I like burgers on lettuce. When I was doing the low carb thing, I really liked wrapping a burger in lettuce and eating it.
Oh, the pork medallions on a bed of asparagus, that would work.
Yeah. And the thing is, they're easy recipes too. They're not like, okay, these are 5 ingredients, but you have to marinate something for 2 days and then think good thoughts and sprinkle it on your broccoli before sending it off to China to be blessed again and then come back. Like, it's super easy.
Bacon wrapped chicken tenders.
I saw that.
Why are we just thinking about that now?
Oh man, this just changed your life. I also found actual cookbooks that were 5 ingredient keto meals, and I honestly like cookbooks so much better than I like websites, just because I've talked about you scroll and scroll and scroll and you finally get to the recipe. But no, this...
Like, there's 4 or 5 of these here right now that I know I could make.
Yeah. You're so happy.
Oh, these are amazing. Meat Lovers Pizza Cups. So,
I saw those. Oh my goodness. And you use little muffin pans and you put it inside either ham or bacon. I don't know what it is.
You could use, you could use bacon, or what I would do with this is use a nice piece of ham and you tuck it in there and you put all your spaghetti stuff inside that.
Yeah.
And then you bake it.
Do you have a muffin pan?
Yeah.
Yay. There you go.
You would take a ham slice and you stuff it in the muffin pan, and you would put a little sauce or, and then some vegetables or whatever you want, and the cheese on top, and then you bake it in the oven, and then boom.
I only ask because I don't actually have a muffin pan. I have a mini muffin pan. For some reason, I don't have an actual muffin pan. I keep forgetting to go out and buy one. But yeah, I saw these recipes and I'm like, these would be great. And also, my window is so small that I could probably, I don't know. I can't say do keto 2 or 3 times a week because apparently, even in the chat room, they're saying, no, you can't dabble.
No, you can't. Well, here's the thing. I mean, okay, so let me ask you a question. What is it about keto that you wouldn't want to do? What is holding you back?
I don't like restrictions on food. That's the thing. I wouldn't last.
You wouldn't want.
I would last for a while, but I would be like you, and I would be like, "No, this is awful." And I feel
like a loser like you, and I
would be a loser like you. That's not what I said, John. Oh man, I'm gonna go right to Deuces. Like, don't put words in my mouth, John. I didn't say that. No, but I see how much you're struggling with it, and I'm like,
well, I'm struggling.
I don't know if
I'm struggling with a food addiction. I don't know if you have that. That's my biggest problem is I have a food addiction. Like I said, that Monday night really made me realize how bad I have a food, because I was like an addict. I was driving around like an addict, and it scared me. It really scared me. Now, here's the other thing. If I would have made one phone call, my friend would have talked me out of it and I would have got home, but I didn't want that. And I didn't do that. So it is on me.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is what's good for you, but at the same time, you have that rebellious streak. Not just you. I have the same rebellious streak of, well, I know what's good for me, but I also know what'll make me feel good. And
oh my God, I can't wait. I got to get a hold of my daughter after this. I want her to make these white lasagna stuffed peppers.
I showed that to my husband. That was the first thing I showed my husband. I'm like, you like peppers? Would you like this recipe? And he was like, I guess. I don't like stuffing. I'm like, it's not stuffing. It's ground turkey. He thought it was actual turkey stuffing. And I'm like, no.
Oh, they use ground turkey? See, a real keto person would want the fat, so they would just use regular beef. Maybe a little pork in there. A little beef and pork. Oh, you got to have the pork. All the flavors in the pork.
You still have your eating window today, so now you could go out and just make all these things. You're so excited. I'm glad I made you happy with this link.
This is amazing. They have a sausage kale soup with mushroom. Oh,
That's the problem. My husband doesn't like soup, and I'm like, I could eat soup a lot of the time. I lived on soup.
well,
for
you
a
have
long
an
time, and I
Instapot.
liked it.
Make a big
I
pot
know.
of it, right? And then
Freeze
you can
it.
freeze some of it and then keep some of it, eat it,
Yeah.
and then take it out and thaw it and all. Heck with him. Give him. Listen,
know.
I would say this is what we're having for dinner. If you don't like this, there's a box of Cheerios in the cupboard and there's some milk. Have at it.
You know the directions to Taco Bell, which is where you were going to go anyway.
Right. In other words, say, listen, you need to support me here, and this is what I'm making for dinner, and you should try some of this stuff. You're a grown man. Stop eating like a 5-year-old. Now we're food shaming your husband.
That's funny. I love that.
And really, I'm only kidding. But I understand that. But, again, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that sounds amazing. Oh, my God, they're taking bacon and they're wrapping asparagus in it. It's amazing.
I hope you audio listeners come into the Facebook group just to see John's reaction to this. Just look for episode 12.
Low-carb chicken nuggets. What?
Is that the one that they made with almond flour?
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm only looking at the pictures and the descriptions. There's no ingredients. You have to click to get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
go to Trader Joe's, get their almond. It's not quite almond flour. I think it's almond mix or something like that. But it's really good because I used to bread chicken in it and use it for breading of all sorts of. I ended up really liking that almond taste too. It may also use coconut flour, which is also at Trader Joe's, and it's super cheap, lasts a while.
There's amazing recipes in here that you could make that they're like casseroles and stuff like that that would make several meals.
Have you gotten to is it the chicken pizza yet?
Stop it. Where's that?
I think it's further down. It's like a chicken pizza casserole. It's like chicken, marinara, cheese, and it's all just one big pizza chicken thing.
Oh my.
That'll last you for a while because that's one of those things. There are certain casseroles that are really good leftover. That's another problem of mine is I'm really picky about leftovers. When I see a casserole, I look at it and I'm like, I bet that would be good leftover. Lasagna, I could eat that for days. Chili, fantastic leftovers. But that casserole with the chicken and the marinara and the cheese.
Dear listener, this is what it says. I know what you're thinking. What is pizza chicken? Who puts chicken on pizza? But pizza chicken is what my kids call chicken parmesan. It combines the flavors of creamy casseroles with the flavors of chicken parmesan. It's one of my favorite easy dinners. It's amazing. Oh, look at that. You put that in there, a little bit of broccoli, a little vegetable on the side salad maybe.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I am watching you drool. This is the best recording ever.
Wow. I'm glad I didn't look at this beforehand.
I am too. I'm so glad to see this reaction. This might be my exercise is laughing so hard at your reaction to this.
There is amazing. They say 5. There's more than 5 here.
Ingredients?
No, meals with 5 ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there's more than 5 recipes here, and they all look amazing. Every one of them. Holy cow.
Did I just re-inspire you, John?
I was already inspired.
Yes,
I mean,
you are.
I got back on the wagon again, and it's no bit. Like I said, it's just the same thing as podcasting. I just have to realize that, every once in a while you're going to make a mistake. You can't just sit there and beat yourself up over it. You're like, okay, you can't be okay. You have to learn from your mistakes. You just can't say, okay, well, that's no big deal or whatever. There's a little bit more involved in that. Nothing is worse than ruining a whole recording. You're going to feel bad afterwards for a little bit, but then you're like, okay, all right, well, I know what to not do that now. Let's see if that, let's try not to do that again. So that's how I'm taking this. I'm taking the mindset that I use for podcasting and trying to change and make that what I'm going to use for my healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave Jackson, because of my podcast. Because of my podcast, I might actually lose some weight. So there we go.
Do you have anything else this week, or do you want to go for the weigh-in?
Let's go for the weigh-in.
Because otherwise, you're just going to keep scrolling through recipes.
I'm sorry. I know. I did do that.
That was so funny, though. I loved watching that.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to see pictures. Will you post pictures when you make them in the group?
Sure.
Okay.
I will definitely post pictures when my daughter makes these recipes for me in the group.
All right, cool.
Here we go.
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the moment you have all been waiting for. It's time for the weigh-in.
Not all of us have been waiting for this. All right. Well, I might as well get the bad news over with. I'm up
All right.
3 pounds. 3 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. So that's a lot of water weight and everything. Oh, and then yesterday, I had a little bit of ice cream. But yeah. When did Dairy Queen get a drive-through? That's all I want to know. Anyhow, I just had a cone. Okay, so if I do that, then I got to go with my non-scale victories. So my non-scale victories are that when how embarrassing is this? All right, when I would get in my truck to drive, my belly would touch the steering wheel. All right. And, so then you'd have to rock the seat back. Well, I had the seat all the way up and I got in the truck. And usually when I get in a truck, if the seat's all the way, the back of the seat's all the way up, I just I wedge in and I jumped in the truck and I was like, wait a minute. I looked and my seat was already up and there was like 2 fingers room between the steering wheel and my belly. So, okay, I gained a little weight, but I don't know if my stomach is shrunk a little bit or what the story is.
Have you taken measurements at all?
No, I haven't taken any measurements. I really haven't.
It does make a difference. It does. Because when I was up on Monday, I took the tape measure out and I put it around my waist and I was like, okay, it is a bit smaller. Like just seeing that tiny bit smaller, it did make a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
Okay. How about you?
I'm down 3 pounds. Yay! So
Well, at least one of us is around here doing something productive.
Well, I gained the pound last week, and I knew that would come off, and I gained another 2 pounds by the time I woke up Monday. So, let's see.
Look at you shredding before the weigh-in.
I know. Well, that was the thing. Tuesday just changed my whole thing. And then yesterday, it was funny. My husband offered me ice cream, and it was still in my window, but I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to have a good recording tomorrow. If the number on the scale doesn't change or make me happy for some reason, I don't want to think back to this ice cream and blame it on this, even though it's a temporary fix or a temporary thing that I want. So I said no to the ice cream. I would love to think that my body knew that I said no to the ice cream and was like,
Evacuate.
all right, okay. 3 pounds, we'll give you 3 pounds off. Like, that's fine. So I'm really happy. Actually, since starting intermittent fasting, this 3 pounds brings me to 20 pounds total loss since starting this. And then we started the podcast shortly after. So
You know what else here? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But
No, go
here's
ahead.
the other thing. When I got off the show last week, I said, okay, well, I'm going to stick with this. And I had set a goal to be down 30 pounds by the time we came on the show. So not only am I not down the 5 pounds or the 3 pounds I needed to get to 30, I'm up 3 pounds. So that's the other thing. I'm not setting weight goals by a certain time. It comes off when it comes off.
yeah, that's very true, because I was convinced that I would get into Wonderland by episode, I think I said 30 or 35. Like, no, that is not happening unless something drastic, unless I cut off an arm or something like that.
Yeah, really.
But I would like to think that I will keep doing this podcast week after week, whether the scale changes or not, because you know what? It really does keep it in the forefront of my mind of just, I'm going to record. And I have to also, when I think about recording, think I'm going to have a good time recording. I'm going to get to talk to John. I'm going to see the people in the group. I like talking about this, and getting sort of re-inspired for the weekend is a great thing for those who are listening on audio. We record on Thursdays, so you get it on Mondays. So we have that whole weekend between by the time we record and then when we put it out, where anything could happen. But just the fact that we record before that, it's kind of a nice motivation for me.
Now, if you want to see the recording when it happens, all you have to do is go to facebook.com/hatethewait, and you can see the recording. You can actually see us. You can see my eyes light up when I see pepper lasagna. I mean, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So, yeah. And the group's getting bigger.
It is. I love the group so much. I love all the support that has happened in the group. People have posted motivational things in there. They've talked about their non-scale victories. They've talked about going on walks. They've shown pictures of their walks, which is really awesome. I used to have a really pretty walk view when I would walk at lunch at my old job. And now, you know, my walk is walking around the house picking up after a toddler and a 7-year-old. So
Not the same view.
Not the same view at all. But we have some non-scale victories that we talked about in Winning Wednesday. Mark said he lost a pound this week, which is a scale victory. And his non-scale victories, yay! His non-scale victory was he spent the day yesterday pulling up the shorts he was wearing. So he also needs a belt.
Nice.
So needing a belt, that's a huge victory. Good job,
Right.
Mark. That's great. Todd had a non-scale victory. He got an Apple Watch back in April when he started this. And I'm guessing he means started his weight loss journey. And it just fit with the sport band it came with on the largest hole. So now he's on the third largest hole. Like his wrist has lost weight.
Wow.
How crazy is that? He's also down 30 pounds since starting back in April.
That is
I know.
huge. I hate him. No, I'm only kidding. No,
And
congratulations.
that's the funny thing is you and I together, we've been tracking our weight loss.
Right.
And we're dying for that 30 pounds.
Well, do you realize that
together.
I just screwed up your whole process with my gaining 3 pounds? We're even for the week now.
Well, we're even. No, that's good.
I know.
At least we're even.
I appreciate that, but
No, I'd rather be even
I
than
know.
last week. Last week, I think also last week made me feel terrible because we were at +1 and I hated that. And I was like, that's my fault. That's all my fault because you take it personally and it's just, oh,
right. No, I hear you. But no, that's great. Any more? I cut you off. I'm sorry.
no. That is it.
Okay.
There are a lot more that people probably haven't put in. We still have the chat room going for the live audience. If anyone wants to talk about their non-scale victories, we have a few more minutes left. We can talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, just a few because I'm about ready to butcher the outro like I normally do.
And you're going to go make some recipes or email them to your daughter.
I'm going to email these right to my daughter and buy her some ingredients. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to Hate to Wait. For more information, you can visit hatetowait.com for show notes, links to everything we've talked about in this episode, and those amazing recipes. And you can always join us in our journey. Be part of the Hate to Wait discussion group on Facebook, hatetowait.com/Facebook. Emily, great job this week. Fantastic. And I will get back on the wagon, and I will bring it next week.
You know, great job too, John. I think you're doing a wonderful job and you keep motivating yourself. Like, I think you just have to get out of the mindset of don't be mean. Don't be mean to my friend John. Whatever. Spike, stop being mean to my friend John.
I have to come up with a better name than Spike. I don't like Spike, but I will find one.
Well, fine. If you have suggestions for names, just let us know. Or
what's
if
my
you
what's my
wanna
avatar
name
name?
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
My eating addiction name. What is it? Let me know. I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, Emily.
Bye.
We'll talk to you next week.
Bye, everyone.